It's Ashley from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome back to my channel where I make a lot of cake and cookie decorating tutorials as well as give a lot of baking business tips. So as you can see, today we are back at Happycakes because we're going to be showing you how Rachel puts together a ton of cupcake Christmas wreaths. So let's get into it. So in the words of Phoebe from Friends, Merry Christmas Eve Eve. Before we get started on those wreaths, I wanted to show you what else they were making at the bakery this morning. They also have several other custom cakes on the go as they're making things, but I thought this one was super cute. So Rachel started very early in the morning, long before I actually got to the shop, and started making all of the fondants. Now when she's making all of these fondants, I know Rachel, I know her process. Pretty sure what she did was she added in a generous portion of shortening as she was getting all of these fondants ready. If you guys are curious, both Rachel and I are avid users of satin ice fondant. And this is very interesting to see. I think Rachel is sitting down to make her fondants, which I very rarely see. So it must be a very busy day at the shop today. She's making all of the beautiful bows that are going to go on the wreath, and it's important that she's making all the fondants in advance, of course, because she wants them to be a little bit hardened up before she actually places them on the wreath. She put down a generous layer of cornstarch and then is placing the fondant on top. Now, because the fondant is not going to be able to be steamed, it really is just making sure that there's not too much cornstarch and making sure that we are brushing off that cornstarch before we actually place it onto the wreath. Now she's cutting out all of these beautiful snowflakes. I myself really need to invest in a snowflake punch. I can't believe that after all this time I still don't have one, but I highly recommend if you guys are going to be doing a lot of Christmas baking to invest in some sort of snowflake punch where it actually gives you all of that detailing without you having to really lift a finger. And another tip that I want to give you guys, it's not a new tip, but for those of you that might be new viewers, you might not have heard this before. We always buy our red fondant. You can dye it with fondust, and I will say that fondust does a pretty good job, but for expediency's sake, I always tend to buy red and black already pre-made. And by the way, don't worry about those little bits of cornstarch showing. That is all going to be brushed off after everything is nice and dry. We have this holly here as well with the berries, and these were made previously beforehand. Here are all of the cupcakes, and at Happycakes they are baked fresh daily, and that is a lot of mini cupcakes. And if you're wondering, yes, they are a little bit bigger than your standard mini cupcake. There's that American buttercream that is ready to go, and Rachel is getting that American buttercream ready to go in a bag fitted with, I believe, a number 5 tip, and then she's going to use it to connect it to the boards. Now, in this first half here, she makes sure that she puts a little dab of frosting on the bottom of each cupcake. Eventually, somewhere down the line, our good friend at the bakery, Sheila, suggests that she should just do it on a few of the cupcakes because obviously all of the frosting on top is going to allow things to be connected. Now, as per usual, I will be sharing all of the pricing at the end of the video, and I'm going to be sharing Happycakes pricing this time around. Each wreath gets 20 mini cupcakes put on a 10-inch cake board, and there are 25 wreaths today, so as you saw in the title, 20 multiplied by 25 is 500 mini cupcakes. I should also mention that these wreaths were all for pre-order. You couldn't just go into the shop and get them. They did need to be pre-ordered, and of course, as you can see, it's a lot of work and a lot of preparation, which is why it's important that this was for pre-order and not just a stock that was ready to go. Rachel and Sheila were moving quite quickly through this process, and it's really only occurring to me now, but I really should have brought my tripod so that I could have helped them out. I didn't realize exactly how many wreaths there were going to be. So true to form of any large orders that you're doing, it's all the setup that seems to take so long. I think this part took about an hour just to get to here, but the decorating portion was actually a lot faster. So here we're getting all of the American buttercream ready. Now the buttercream was ready to go, but we need to add in all of that colorant. You'll notice that she's adding in some browns and some yellows. I talked to you guys about this before. If you're good with color, there's no need to buy the whole line of products in all varying types of greens and other colors. You can just mix it up yourself, and eventually you get a lot better at figuring out which kind of colors warm things up and which things cool things down. We wanted to go for a bit of a mossy green here, so that is why we added in those browns and the yellow just to brighten it up a little bit more. I like how I'm saying we when I really just mean Rachel because I was watching her do all of this work. So we'll slow that down just a little bit. This is real-time piping. She's starting from the center and creating those rosettes. And of course, whenever you're doing a stock order, it's really good to go with something that is very comfortable for you. And obviously, Rachel is very, very comfortable with doing this type of piping. Now this wreath is obviously a play on a pull-apart cupcake cake, so you want to make sure that you're getting all of those gaps. So anything that wasn't completely filled in, she just put a little bit of a star in between just to make sure that everything is nice and full. Now I thought I had gotten footage of just how large the piping bag that she's using is, but it is super, super big. And really, she was only able to ice about 3 wreaths before having to refill. I can only imagine my tiny little piping bags that I have at home, how long this would actually take if I tried to do it just with a standard piping bag. And these orders took quite a few very, very full KitchenAid bowls of buttercream. And because this is an American buttercream and the air conditioning is always super strong in the shop, really important that we sprinkle as we go. If Rachel was doing this by herself, she would have probably had to stop and then sprinkle. Otherwise, the sprinkles would not stick to the frosting as well. So Sheila gets to do the fun job of sprinkling all of those on, and her method was she would sprinkle on the little base and then put the larger sprinkles on, like the 6-slits, little by little, just to make sure everything was evenly dispersed. I apologize, guys, for my little bit of erratic filming here. It's always hard for me to decide how I actually want to film something, if I'm going to speed something up, so again, I apologize. Now, Rachel was working very efficiently, yes, because she is an efficient baker and decorator. However, she was also very efficient for me because I was on a little bit of a time crunch. I needed to pick up my kids, and I only had 2 hours away. So the fact that she was able to finish all of these within that 2-hour time limit is amazing to me. So once all of the buttercream was on top of those mini cupcakes and we were fully sprinkled. Yes, this is the last one here. So satisfying. And I'm assuming that these are actually the last of all of the Christmas orders because, like I said, it's Christmas Eve and the shop closes tomorrow. So I'm pretty sure that that was the final sprinkle on the final wreath. But we all know, as fun as sprinkles are, the best part is putting the finishing touches on your cake. And it was a very assembly line way that this was completed. Rachel put down all those little tails of the bow, and then Sheila came and finished it off with the top of the bow and adding on some of those fun candy canes. I thought it was really interesting that not real candy canes were used, but fondant candy canes. Love that. Rachel is a fondant queen though, so this really comes as no surprise. The last finishing touches are these holly leaves, and just switching it up, there were some varying colors of the holly leaves, and I love that contrast between the different types of greens, and then some snowflakes were added on as well. And here are the finished wreaths. It looks so beautiful. I love seeing things in copious amounts. There's something just so satisfying and pretty about that. Now let's get into the pricing of these wreaths, and this is very straightforward pricing. This would be a stock order, a pre-order only, for $45 Canadian per wreath. Now when I put out stock order specials, I would make up a mock of what it was that I was going to be selling. However, it's not like everything was exact to what that mock-up is. With a stock order, you always want to make sure you put a little asterisk that says there might be slight changes. And it is only fitting that for the subscriber submission of the day, we go with some cupcakes. These are so fun. I love this idea, and I love how they executed it. So go and check them out, drop them a like, and drop them a comment. And if you want to be the next featured subscriber on my channel, then please follow me at SD Bake Shop on Instagram, where you can either tag me in a photo or send me a photo. Any and all dessert levels are welcome. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading weekly, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. Bye!